And thanks for joining us. The coalition of Muslim organizations working in Ghana under the group COMOG is giving indications that they may occupy all regional capitals in protest against the decision by the government of Ghana to abstain from a crucial United Nations Security Council resolution from Russia, which was seeking for a humanitarian ceasefire given the war going on in Gaza. The group is unhappy that the government of Ghana supposedly failed to demonstrate what they're describing as impartiality on the part of the government on this age-old Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Well, Ghana is the only African country so far on the non-permanent seat of the United Nations Security Council, which failed to back the calls for a humanitarian ceasefire and rather abstaining when the vote was put before the council last week.
Criticizing government. And if we have to attack government by way of criticizing government, so be it. Because this is a government that is there for everybody, for all Ghanaians. It's not there for just maybe a section of the Ghanaian society. So if the government is doing something that we feel it's not going to augur well for our country, because it is some of these things that fuel the sentiments, the fears that you're talking about now. And we are very, very much conscious of some of these issues. That is how come we are expressing our disappointment with the government position, because we know that we are in an interdependent globe, that anything that happens in the Middle East has its own repercussions. We can see all the demonstrations that is going on in the Middle East, in Europe and that kind of thing. We are even planning to go on a demonstration.
Really?
Sure.
So you may pour out onto the streets in the coming days? Why do you want to pour out on?
As an extension of showing our displeasure in what is going on in the Middle East. It's our human rights. And we've captured it in the statement. We'll very soon, hopefully, and we'll serve notice to the police. We'll also have to show to the world that we are concerned about what is going on there. Can't you see the demonstrations in New York? Right before Biden, as I speak to you, people are still on the street. In Europe, in the Middle East, all over the world. What prevents us from also marching on the streets to show our displeasure?
Ghana is known to be a very peaceful country. Are you not jeopardizing the
No, going on demonstration doesn't mean that we are
not necessarily by the demonstration, but giving the sensitivities in this matter.
That is the more
don't you
sensitive
feel that you might be inflaming?
I'm happy you are making the statement that it's a sensitive issue.
Yes.
It's sensitive. That is the more reason why we have to act responsibly to awaken the conscience, the moral conscience of the world. The moral conscience of the world is dead. And that is the issue that we are raising. The moral conscience of the world is dead, and Ghana seems to be towing that tangent. And that is our worry. Because this crisis in the Middle East is older than you and I. You know that.
I agree.
It's older than you and I.
I agree on that. Yes, 75
So
years.
why are we not addressing the fundamental root cause of this crisis?
Okay. Well, so that's the position of the coalition of Muslim groups operating in Ghana, and there's a need for us to bring you a detailed statement that was released by the group on this very issue, and pointing out that starting Friday, they will occupy all regional capitals in protest against this decision. And it starts off with the point that the coalition of Muslim organizations, Ghana, COMOG, writes to express some resentment against the precarious attacks on the people of Palestine by the Israelis, as they are allegedly pointing to. Now, this must be of grave concern to the international community being represented at the UN. COMOG is also calling for an emergency General Assembly session to be convened immediately to consider taking the appropriate action. It is sad that, quote, the world is watching as an unprecedented humanitarian catastrophe take place in Gaza, as Antonio Guterres, the United Nations General Secretary, put forward a few days ago. As an umbrella organization which treasures peace and security of humanity across the world with absolute repulsion against the petitions of the UK, US, France, Germany, etc., and also of the European Union, we wish to add our voices to many other voices calling on the United Nations to take steps to end the senseless destruction of life and property. They go ahead in the second to last paragraph that COMOG wishes to express its disappointment at Ghana's abstention from the voting on the proposed Russian resolution on Gaza at the United Nations Security Council on Monday. Now, we know that decision or that vote was taken on Monday, 16th of October 2023, and they continue to point out that Ghana's position as issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, coupled with the abstention at the UN Security Council as issued, is actually against or at variance with Ghana's foreign policy. Then they also go ahead to point out what they might be doing in the coming days. They point out clearly that what can be more reasonable in such a crucial act of dehumanization than calling for a ceasefire, the release of hostages on both sides, and also the issue about access to humanitarian aid and safe evacuation of civilians in Gaza. In conclusion, we wish to announce to the general public of an impending picketing in Accra and at various regional capitals on Friday, the 27th of October 2023, and we therefore call on all peace-loving Ghanaians who share in the plight of the Palestinians to join us in drumming home our demand for a UN intervention to stop the issue in Palestine. And they continue to finally raise the point that they extend their condolences to the bereaved families while they offer solidarity and prayers to the people of Palestine. And that's also being signed by Abdel Hanan Abdul Rahman, who's president of the coalition of Muslim groups operating in Ghana. Just last week when we had this conversation, Dr. Ishmael Hlonvo raised a similar concern that giving the religious undertones to this very tension, there will be a need for the Republic of Ghana to choose a more neutral approach. And Doc is joining us back on Zoom right now to have a conversation on this again. Doc, thank you for spending some time with us. We'll talk about, this whole decision by the coalition of Muslim groups to pour out onto all regional capitals as a result of this very war happening in Gaza. But there's still the unanswered question as to why we're drawing the links between this tension, which is far away in the Middle East, to any other surrounding issue here in Ghana. Why should we be concerned, first of all, and why should we even listen to the group and the concerns they're raising when this issue is far away from us in the Middle East?
First of all, we must understand that the issue between Israel and Palestine actually has a religious undertone. It's a conflict that is not based solely on secular issues. It's a highly religious issue. If you look at the founding of Israel, the state of Israel, the current state of Israel, you will understand that the area that is currently in contention was once called Palestine. And as a result of the decision of the United Nations to settle Jewish people after the Second World War in that area, the dynamics changed all of a sudden, where the Jewish were able to overthrow the Arab majority that was once settled in that territory, and therefore were able to create a Jewish state known as Israel. And of course, the claim to that land by the Jewish is based solely on biblical narratives. So, and of course, Jerusalem, which is being contested by all groups as the root of their religious founders. So you have Jerusalem, which is at the heart of some of the contestations, being seen by many religious groups as the origin of their religion. So yes, it's a highly religious war, and therefore we should be concerned about what is happening there, not only because it's highly religious, because also have implications for the rest of the world, including Africa and including Ghana. And so any disturbance in that region, particularly if it turns out to involve other powers, will not hold well for the rest of us. In terms of our domestic setting, you should recall that Ghana is not a mono-religious state. It's not a state that has only one single religious group being dominant. Indeed, we have various religions, including Muslims and Christians. And as indicated, we have taken a position virtually endorsing the position of Israel. And therefore, we expect that as Palestinians are suffering, and then, of course, Arabs, Muslims are suffering, their fellow Muslims will have a little bit of sympathy and will want to solidarize with them. So we will have this kind of demonstration. It's even more peaceful when they come up boldly to demonstrate, to let their anger and their frustrations and their sympathies for the people of Palestine known outwardly. It's more dangerous when they choose other means of protest, other violent means of protest. So yes, we should be concerned here, and we should guarantee them the right to protest.
And talking about the UN Security Council decision, we saw excerpts of proceedings when, of course, the voting was underway at the United Nations. Of course, the issue about Ghana's decision to abstain when Russia put forward a resolution that was seeking to call for some level of humanitarian assistance and also a ceasefire purely on humanitarian grounds, and that found Ghana abstaining as the only African country to do so. The others apparently supported this move. What sort of a picture or narrative is that painting about the country and our decision that we have taken? What are we communicating to the world?
It is very important to note that we have already compromised our stand by virtually declaring our support for Israel. And of course, the position that the US and other powers have taken is virtually what we are doing. So it's just following on what we have done when the issue started. Whereas we were too quick to lend total support to the Israeli position. Yes, of course, we are free to say that the Israeli position is right, maybe based on the fact that we think Hamas is a terrorist organization. But if you see how this war has proceeded, you will note that there's a lot of casualty, particularly on the side of the Palestinians, including civilians and children who are being killed. And so I think that Ghana's position had already been compromised by the stance we take earlier in terms of our president's stand that we totally support the Israeli position. And remember, when Hamas organized this attack, the kind of response Israel is giving is predicted by them. Indeed, they know that Israel will come out with all guns blazing. And maybe they understand that as the war proceeds, as the war gets underway, the casualties of civilians and all these things will gradually win them sympathy, will gradually win the attention of the world to them. And so this is also a strategy. Hamas may have used as a strategy to kind of thwart various efforts at ensuring that there's a more cordial relationship among Israel and other Middle East powers like Saudi Arabia, for instance, where they have gone, the miles of diplomatic efforts have gone in to ensure that they reconcile and then engage in more diplomatically. So this response from Israel is virtually thwarting those efforts, because as you see, when Biden was in that region, various diplomatic engagements were scheduled, but the bombing of a hospital made some of those leaders to reconsider their decision. So as we are looking at this issue, I think abstaining puts us like we are not so much concerned about the civilian casualties that are being reported, which is not so good for us. But of course, perhaps the policymakers have other information that we are not privy to. But from my stand, it is because we have compromised our position that even when it comes to humanitarian aid, we are seen to be abstaining. There's nothing to abstain from if it's just to do with getting relief items to those who are being affected by this, or particularly civilian children, women, which under international law we have vowed to protect.
I see. This very group, calling itself the Coalition of Muslim Organizations, should we be worried about any national security implications?
I don't think so, because the fact that they have come out that they want to demonstrate peacefully should tell you that they are also committed to a peaceful Ghana, peaceful coexistence in Ghana. We should be worried if they have not come out to engage in this demonstration. So what should be done is to create the environment for them to demonstrate peacefully. Their leaders should ensure that it remains a peaceful protest. And the police should guarantee that they don't get unnecessarily provoked, particularly other religions that may virtually interpret the word from the other side of the religious divide, should also abstain from speeches and comments and gestures that virtually will provoke them. Because, of course, if you share the same religion, the same sentiment with a group that is under this kind of attack, particularly the civilians, it is just natural that you get frustrated, you want to demonstrate your sympathy towards that group. So yes, we should not be so much concerned because they have come out to protest. What we should do is to listen to their concerns and see how we as a country, we engage the international community to address what is ongoing in that side. And you realize that the issues are so complex in that region. As we speak, Egypt is not ready to accept Palestinian refugees because of the cost and to their economy and other implications. And so this issue will drag for long, and we should pray for a quick resolution, because then there is Iran, which is threatening that they cannot sit down and watch the humanitarian catastrophe continue. There's the US, who has moved warships to that region. So the more it prolongs, the more the tendency of other elements, other actors entering this conflict situation. And once the Middle East is destabilized, we will have a little bit of effect on energy prices because of the contribution of that region to global energy.
But the nature and the magnitude of protest we are likely to see is starting Friday, because the group says this will be on regional basis as well. The plan is to not just do this protest in Accra, but all other regional capitals, as their statement is pointing out.
Yes, so you see, they also want to organize a protest that will have an impact, that will have our state shift policy. I think that we will have been in a better position to sympathize with them if we are not taking a position that seems to be so much of an endorsement of the Israeli position. Because these are our citizens who also feel that the other side deserves some sympathy. And indeed, you don't need to be a Muslim. You don't need to be a Muslim to sympathize with the civilian casualties that are being reported. You just need to be human. You just need to have human sympathy to realize that we cannot have that level of human sympathy, no matter how you interpret it, that of course, Hamas has attacked Israel. Therefore, the response is more killing. That does not necessarily end well for anybody. So yes, I think that the plan of the organizers is to have a protest that will have much impact. And of course, they may also want to communicate to the world that there's those of the Muslim faith in Ghana are not leaving their brothers in Palestine to the current happening that have befallen them. So,
okay, yeah, but the premise of this, even from the beginning, the premise appears to be on Ghana's voting pattern on the UN Security Council. What else could we have done? And also the question as to even whether or not we have an influential voice, right? Because this is supposed to be the UN Security Council. Even if we vote in favor of the resolution and one superpower decides to veto that, That's the end of it. So after all, we abstained. It's not as though we supported any other side.
It is symbolic that at least you seem to be taking a side that carries the image of a country that cares for other people. So you see, when you vote to abstain, virtually what we are saying is that you don't actually support the humanitarian operation being suggested by Russia. That's virtually what it means. So you vote at least to support that resolution and let the bigger power use his veto to oppose it. But as of now, we have just communicated to our Muslim brothers who are sympathizing with their brothers that as a state of Ghana, we virtually endorse what and looking at the pattern from the beginning, we virtually endorse the Israeli and Western position. And that does not bode well for our brothers who are feeling in the sense of their religious inclination that their religion is under attack, and therefore they feel like the state that they call Ghana should be able to at least vote in the way that support, that is granting humanitarian relief to innocent people. Not every person in Gaza is Hamas. Not every person in Gaza took part in that attack. Not every person in Gaza may have supported that idea. So you see, if it is about humanitarian relief, at least what is expected is that we at least support that at least humanitarian relief to be granted.
Yeah, but the group, the country actually advocating for that appears to be setting double standards. May be a reason for which the Republic of Ghana does not want to support Russia. This is our president speaking a couple of days ago and pointing out in the United States of America that he supports Ukraine and every other nation should also come to the support of Israel given the attack of Hamas. Now you have a country that supposedly is, on the offensive against Ukraine, suggesting that we go on a humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. I mean, are we not going to be setting double standards if we support Russia in that cause, knowing that it is also at war with another country?
You see, in the world of global politics, double standards are quite common, and that is how the world functions. The US and other powers don't hold firm to a certain position. And indeed, Ghana's foreign policy over the years have operated on the basis of considering each issue on its own merit. In the particular case we are considering now, what is the basis of which the resolution was blocked by the US? It is because the resolution didn't acknowledge the right of Israel to defend itself. That is the only thing that the resolution didn't mention. So if that is the basis, what is it that prevents Ghana from considering? You don't take an issue based on the person who is proposing the issue. You look at the issue on its own merit. Do we agree as a country that the people of Palestine, the people of Gaza, who are the innocent civilians who are currently under bombardment, deserve the right to have a relief? That is the core issue. If they so deserve to have relief, then it doesn't matter which quarter the resolution is coming from. We may disagree with Russia on certain issues, but then again, the world of international politics suggests that we can still agree with them on other issues. Indeed, it is that way that you can even help play a meaningful role in resolving the Russian crisis if the chance arises, because then you put yourself in a position that they will recognize that while you disagree with them invading Ukraine, on other issues of international importance, you actually reason with them. So you must not take a position that virtually looks like you are so stuck to a particular position. Because indeed, in the world of international relations and politics, nobody has permanent friends. We have permanent interests. Our interest in this case is to uphold the civilians of Gaza to have relief, is to ensure that we maintain religious harmony in Ghana, is to ensure that our population is at one, so that we continue to enjoy the peace that we are enjoying. Now we're going to spend resources trying to police these demonstrations, which at this point we don't necessarily need, because we have our brothers in Volta and other regions that are already being displaced by the floods.
I see. But then your expectation from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, we know that they issued a statement on this matter, calling on all sides to negotiate and to bring about a lasting peace to this whole conflict. And then now we're getting to see what sort of representation and voting is going on at the UN Security Council. We've just abstained. The COMOG group, and later that full conversation will air on Foreign Affairs Tonight, is now saying that Ghana ought to make another statement by taking advantage of any other resolution that will come and to vote for a humanitarian ceasefire. Do we have another opportunity at sending another message to the
Yes.
world that indeed we mean business, we want to save more lives, and we want to see a ceasefire?
You see, the earlier comment by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was then complicated by the president's total endorsement of the Israeli position and then more of our voting pattern. So what should happen naturally is that we should seize the next opportunity of any resolution calling for humanitarian relief for the people who are under an attack in Gaza to support that resolution. That will give a little bit of credibility to our stand. Other than that, what we have done now is to virtually say that whatever the Western world has decided is what we are endorsing. So as a country, we must reassert our own foreign policy. We must begin to measure each issue on its own merit, regardless of where the proposition is coming from, regardless of where the proposal is coming from. We must not attack a proposal based on where it is coming from. We must look at, for instance, the right of Israel to defend itself. Israel has already asserted that right. And of course, would that right, as within the current context, would that right override the right of those people who are being bombarded to have relief effort? In my estimation, as an we should be concerned more with how to ensure that those who are under bombardment have a little bit of relief.
What more are you expecting from security agencies and also other ministries in engaging COMOG, which is the coalition of these Muslim groups that have planned a series of activities to protest?
What I would expect them to do is that to assure them of the right to protest, to assure them, to guarantee them that they will go ahead with the protest, and then define the routes and other mechanisms of the protest. And we should not try to suppress it, because you see, when you suppress protest, then you give those who are planning this protest no option that to resort to other options of demonstrating their frustration, which may not order well for us. So I would expect the usual, the very high professionalism from the security agencies. While they monitor the protest, they must also be on their alert, because then other elements, of course, we are located in a region that is highly volatile, that is full of terrorist activities. So we must also be on the lookout of people who will want to take advantage of the protest to commit other security infractions. Of course, so we must be well prepared to provide security, one, for the protesters, and also prevent any group who may want to take advantage of the protest to foment trouble.
I see. Grateful for your time, Dr. Ishmael Hono, for joining us here on The Pulse. And we'll keep monitoring developments and how the voting pattern will go. But COMOG also is indicating that they will be hitting the streets in the coming days on this matter. I will keep watching the space and monitoring the updates and bring you some more reactions on this. But there's also another brewing issue between Ghana and the Republic of Togo, as some traditional leaders in the Volta region are hopeful the replacement of the destroyed Ghana-Togo boundary pillars by the Ghana Boundaries Commission will help prevent disagreements and also conflicts between the two neighboring countries. Speaking during a joint Ghana-Togo sensitization and reaffirmation exercise at Honta in the Volta region, the national coordinator of the Ghana Boundaries Commission, Major General Emmanuel Kotia, hinted that by next year, the replacement or reaffirmation exercise will cover all of Ghana's land boundaries with the Republic of Togo.
A Bobobo Group entertaining patrons at the sensitization program at Kweje in the Volta region. Traditional rulers, opinion leaders, youth leaders, women groups, civil society organizations, local government authorities, press and more were all present. With the third phase of the Ghana-Togo reaffirmation exercise, the joint team from Ghana and Togo intends to cover about 100 kilometers from 21st October to 10th November 2023. The joint sensitization sessions are intended to educate the border communities along the Ghana-Togo international boundary line about the construction of new boundary pillars, approximately 100-kilometer stretch to replace old, worn-out, displaced and destroyed pillars. Some traditional leaders in the Volta region are happy the replacement of the destroyed Ghana-Togo boundary pillars by the Ghana Boundary Commission will help prevent disagreements and conflicts between the two neighboring countries. Chief of Honuta in the Volta region, Togbi Kofi Ayisa, Chief of Leklebi Kame, also in the Volta region, Togbi Atachi, and Chief of Klo Mayondi in Togo, Togbi Pechu VI, commended the Ghana Boundary Commission for embarking on the reaffirmation exercise.
The good thing about this one that I can pinpoint is the education of the sensitization aspects. They are not only coming to erect pillars or reaffirm boundaries, but they are going to back it up with education and sensitization on both sides of the boundaries. So people will know what the boundary is about, their rights and responsibilities. And when that comes, then the peace that we are all looking for across the border will be established.
We are grateful to the Ghana Boundaries Commission and their counterpart from Togo. Just recently, they came back to the community to assist us with a project which is very dear to our heart. They, in conjunction with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, are assisting the community of Leklebi Kame and Kudra to renovate our health post, which project is very dear to our heart. And I would like to use this opportunity to thank them and ask for the cooperation of all other communities along the frontiers to cooperate with the commissions from both sides.
It's a very important issue, so I like it. It shows that there is a very, very friendship between Togo and Ghana. So we are happy for the issue.
National Coordinator of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Yumano Kotia, says community engagement and involvement of all stakeholders form an integral part of the work of the Commission.
We need more stakeholders who are ready to join us to be able to undertake this exercise successful. One, most of the community leaders are able to show us certain features on the grounds if we are swaying off so far as the international boundary lines are concerned. Remember, these are people who have stayed in these areas for a very long time. Again, with the youth and women groups, they are able to assist us to sensitize the people on the type of exercise that we are doing. The assurances that we have received from the chiefs today is glaring, and we want to build upon that relationship with the chiefs and the traditional rulers and opinion leaders so that we'll be able to carry on this exercise so that there will not be disinformation so far as the exercise is concerned.
He says the Commission will replace all damaged boundary pillars along the 9.6-kilometer international land boundary line between Ghana and Togo.
Yes, it's true that it's an ambitious program, but we have secured funding for that project. One, we are determined to carry on this exercise because it's very important. We have patches of challenges along this area. So once this affirmation is done, it will bring clarity to where the land boundary line is, international land boundary lines, and then it will also define clearly where the pillars are. Remember that we're introducing additional pillars that will make the boundary line identifiable on the ground.
Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources Benito Usubio says the reaffirmation exercise will promote good neighborliness between Ghana and Togo.
First of all, they are not going to create new boundaries. Yes, they are just going to let them affirm and understand that this position or this line, that is where the boundary is. Secondly, they live within the communities. So some of them, even the pillars, it will be better for you to consult them because they can help you locate them. Some of them are on their farms, some are even in households. There's a typical example of one that was found in a chopa somewhere. Yes, in fact, if they had not consulted the community, they wouldn't have found the pillar. But lo and behold, somebody took them to the chopa. And right in the middle of the chopa, the pillar was there. And that's it. Yes, and people were eating around it. So it's important that we bring them on board.
DC for Fajatu South, Etonam Flolu, who represented the Volta Regional Minister, praised the Ghana Boundary Commission for its work.
I would say it's been a while since I've seen a committed state institution committed to what they are doing, following timelines and trying to meet it to solve a problem. And I can say that for a fact that the Boundary Commission, headed by General Kotia and ably assisted by his team, are sticking to their words and going according to plan. And I think they deserve some commendation from us all.
Well, the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry is set to seek some parliamentary ratification for a 15-year lease granted to the Berari DV Ghana Limited for lithium mining in our central region for the first time in Ghana. Lithium is a vital mineral used in the production of lithium batteries, which are increasingly promoted as an eco-friendly alternative to fossil fuels, aligning with global efforts to combat climate change. And Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abujanapo, assures that this agreement will be treated uniquely in line with Cabinet's directive on green mineral initiatives with the aim of benefiting the country.
Series of negotiations, as I've indicated, we concluded an agreement with Atlantic Lithium for the exploitation of lithium in Ewoya in the central region of our country. And today, I am happy to report through you to the country on behalf of the President and his government that we are granting to the company, Atlantic Lithium, a mining lease to commence the construction of the mining of lithium in our country. For the avoidance of doubt, this is the first lease granted for the mining of lithium in our country. This is going to be the first lithium project in Ghana. And distinguished guests, the lease we are signing today, I should emphasize, differs from our standard mining lease. Standard mining lease we've been signing for many years in respect of gold, manganese, bauxite, and other known minerals in our country is fundamentally different from the one we are going to sign today. And as I've explained, this is because of the policy approved by Cabinet, which is to say that green minerals are to be treated differently. And if you want, for want of a better expression, the mistakes which were made in the past, in the past will not be repeated with respect to the green minerals of our country. And so the lease we are signing today, as I've indicated, among others, has innovative provisions such as, and I'll list them copiously, such as 1, an increase in royalties rate from the standard 5% to 10%. The company will therefore pay 10% royalties on all minerals mined. 2, an increase in the state-free carried interest from 10% to 13%. Government will therefore hold 13% shares in the company, which we will not pay for, but will be entitled to dividends and other rights. 3, an additional government participation through the acquisition of shares. Thus, in addition to the 13% shares, government, through the Minerals Income Investment Fund, MIF, will acquire additional 6% shares in the mining company and 3.06% shares in the holding company, which is listed on the Australian and London Stock Exchange. This will bring government's interest in the company to 19% in the local company and 3.06% in the foreign holding company. Additionally, government and MIF will have representations on the board of both the local company and the foreign company to protect government's interests. To ensure that other interested Ghanaians benefit from this mining operation, the company will list on the Ghana Stock Exchange, and their shares will be made available to Ghanaian entities and individuals, including SNIT, pension funds, and other high-income individuals. In addition to all taxes, royalties, and levies, including 1% growth and sustainability levy, the company, Atlantic Lithium, will also pay 1% of its revenue into a community development fund to be utilized for the development of communities impacted by their operations. In terms of value addition, the company has committed to complete a feasibility study for the establishment of a chemical plant within 4 months of the signing of the lease, that is within 4 months from today. As I've said repeatedly, our commitment is to ensure that as much as possible, we add value to these minerals before exporting them.
And let's get more on this from Dr. Tony Owen, who's the president of the African Institute for the Extractive Industry. Thank you so much, Doc, for spending some time with us here on The Pulse. This very agreement is coming at a time when the government is equally battling other issues in the mining or extractive industry, i.e. galamsey, which we talk about every day. But given the fact that government is promising a different story this time round, are you first of all certain that that will be the case, and what more policy measures do you expect government to take in that course?
Well, thank you very much, and just thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts on this subject. I mean, on the face of this new development, I am quite excited because now you see government showing much more interest in the minerals which is mined on our own soil. I see the 13% free carry interest as quite progressive in my own view, and then also the desire to be part of the foreign entity is also very important. At this stage, it is how it pans out in practice which is very important. We have these opportunities. Sometimes we populate the opportunities that we create not with people with knowledge, with insight knowledge, but sometimes people who have struggled through politics and then their positions are created in that situation. I think this time around, lithium is a special mineral. I mean, as we know, it's a crystal mineral, it's a green mineral, and therefore our representation should be based on knowledge, experience, and not based on sectional partisan presentation. But I think on the face of it, the optics is excellent. I think it's a good move. The royalties have changed from 5% for other minerals to 10% for lithium. This is not new globally. I mean, in some countries, royalties are based on minerals, different the type of minerals you're mining. When you go to Australia, the iron ore producers pay different royalties than the gold producers. So I think it's a good lesson we are learning. I personally believe that Ghana should get to a point where we actually show majority interest. And this time, it should not be free carry interest. It should be as came in the past, as Botswana has successfully done. You know, in Botswana, the major diamond producing company, is owned by the government, 51-49. The other partner, private partner, owns 59%. So I think we should selectively get to that point, and I'm glad that you're making this stride. The impact on the community, what the communities would get, must be properly outlined, and there should be a way of ensuring that what community gets is shown all the time.
There are already concerns about parliamentary ratification. Is that not of concern to you as well?
It is important. Parliament would have to ratify that. I mean, according to law, it's a requirement of the law that for the lease to be wholesome, it has to be ratified by Parliament. And there are cases. I mean, Eston Cubic went through all the process, did all the right things, and he has to get himself into a controversial situation just because of ratification. So in Ghana, we see ratification of leases very important. It is provided by the Constitution, and so that has to be done.
Okay. How about your studies and probably what your research might be pointing to? What level of deposits do you feel we have, which might be sufficient for collective bargaining grounds? The fact that we might be asking for more royalties in the coming years, is this something that you foresee, given the level of research you've done about the deposits we have?
Yes. So far, what the prospecting results have indicated seem to suggest a significant amount, with a percentage of lithium content being quite significant by local standards. I mean, you have Zimbabwe, DR Congo also having various quantities of lithium. We may not match Zimbabwe and Congo, and DR Congo, but what we have as started is good enough for it to be a bargaining chip for the country.
I see. Thank you so much for spending some time with us, Dr. Tony Obin, joining us. He's the president of the African Institute for the Extractive Industry. Thank you for spending some time with us. But let's stay with my colleague Samuel Kojo-Brace, who's also been following this story and some more issues coming up from the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. And Samuel, I need to point out, first of all, that this is, in fact, good news to us because the country will benefit from this. What's been the reaction from the industry generally, I mean, from what you gather on this matter?
Well, I think from the beginning, when this was announced that we found lithium in large quantities, it brought about some excitement in the industry and the general populace that at least in the long term, Ghana is going to benefit from this because you know that the world is going green. So if you have a green mineral, that's good. Of course, we are now thinking about refinery because I joined the Twitter Spaces some time ago when Myth had that space on this lithium thing, and the discussion was about how to move from just the exploitation of the raw mineral to now refining it, because we want to bolster the the vehicle making industry, and this is one critical component of the vehicle making company. So if that is it, then of course it comes as a good news for all of us.
And we understand that there are other developments also in this very sector.
I mean, look, last week we did a story here from Inzima East, where a prospecting license has been given to a company called Yellow Gold, and some NGOs, raised the alarm that, look, that is a conservation area, which would of course threaten that area. So they had issues. The Minerals Commission, after seeing the story, got in touch, and then we went with them to the field to see what was there. Now, I was taken to a part of the concession where illegal miners had gone in there to mine. Now, the Yellow Gold Company, which says that I'm in here to do sustainable mining and therefore I'm not to destroy the environment, had sent in security people to drive away the illegal miners. So we're taken there to see the work that had been done there. We met with there are two communities there, Edukrom, and then you get to Upper Tame. So we met the Edukrom chief. I wanted to understand from him what they do make of what's happening there. Now, he is known as Nana Kabila the Fourth, and he said, well, there is no conservation area in Edukrom, and the fact that even rivers there, do not terminate in the Ankobra River, because that's the closest river to this area. He spoke to us. Let's listen to him, then we'll go back to the community.
Even as we look forward to that, these traditional leaders, how worried are they about the situation in the community?
So that's why I wanted to find out from them that, look, what is the real issue here? They all seem to say that, well, the operations of the company will not bring adverse effect to us, because the company has explained to them that it is doing prospecting to then go into rock mining.
Right.
Rock mining is you going down there underground to bring the rocks up. So they feel that, well, if it is done according to what the company has said, then of course there won't be any problems. They have also been explaining that they haven't seen any sort of action from the company for them to conclude that there will be problems. But NGOs have issues, and I agree with them, because they were able to say that there's a conservation, and some areas they call crema, some areas, that swamps that have not been endangered in a way, and they want to preserve all of these things. And they're saying that if you look at the past things that have happened in this country, where mining companies have degraded the environment, there's no assurance that they can do it.
Right.
But then they come to the conclusion that the mining lease has already been given. So what can be done? Then, of course, the NGOs, the Minerals Commission, because the Minerals Commission say that they were not aware that there were any conservation in the area. So a collaboration between the NGOs, the Minerals Commission, and the community, and of course the media, because we've been there as well, can probably help in ensuring that the right things are done. Yeah.
Let's listen.
We don't have any conservation. Almost all our land has been given up for rubber plantation.
Okay.
And the few left for cassava and other foodstuffs. So we don't have any area here. No, we don't have. Since I came on the throne, I haven't had a problem of visiting any area which is solely conserved for natural resources or on environmental basis. No.
Where do those streams in the area end up?
The streams end up in bigger streams far away from us.
Okay.
Yes. From here to Ankobra, you can imagine how long it is. And none of the streams where yellow gold is trying to win and process is getting to Ankobra. No.
Where do those streams end up?
Personally, I haven't followed it individually to where they end. But seriously speaking, it is safe if they will actually operate as we have discussed.
Well, some of the chiefs there raising concern, and Grace, you've been, digging some more and finding out what their next step might be on these concerns. What's likely to happen?
I mean, so the company is determined to do sustainable mining. That's what he says. Now, the NGOs also say, well, if we allow you in there, other people will take advantage and then come in there. So we don't want to. But where it is now, it's the NGOs are determined to petition the Minerals Commission on Tuesday. The company also wants to be given the opportunity to prove people right that Ghanaian companies can do the right things. So as it stands now, the mining lease has been given. So it is the NGOs and the stakeholders to come on board to ensure that the right things are really there. So policing. And I think that once the media has come in here, we should play our role.
Any response so far from the sector ministry?
No, because this is an issue that has just begun. So I'm sure that when it gets to where the sector ministry should come in, they will, of course, come in.
Samuel Kujo with the latest on that. We're taking a break here on The Pulse. When we get back, we're still paying attention to the Volta floods, paying attention to what's been happening in parts of Central, North and South Tongue areas, where today, of course, the NDC has also been doing some donation of relief items. We understand that a lot more is coming through also from some UN agencies. We'll be in the community shortly and bring you some updates. Stay here on the Joy News channel. And thanks for staying with us. Very shortly, it will be 2 weeks since flood water swept through communities in parts of the Volta region, eastern and also greater Accra areas following the spillage of the Ekosombo Dam and Pong dams. At least 26,000 people have been displaced. This afternoon, Joy News is learning waterborne diseases have started emerging 2 days into screening of some flood victims at Mepe in the Volta region. The Ghana Medical Association and the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association are spearheading a medical outreach initiative. Well, my colleague Carlos Kaloni is on site and comes through with this report. Here I said.
Nurses and Midwives Association, together with the Ghana Medical Association, have teamed up here to provide medical relief to affected flood victims here in Mepe, in the North Tong district of the Volta region. And as you can see, screening is ongoing here, treatment is ongoing. There are a number of residents here who are actually receiving medical attention from the Ghana Medical Association in conjunction with the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. And so we want to speak to a few of them to understand their story, to see why they are here and what kind of medical attention they are receiving as part of the arrangement to bring relief to flood victims here in the North Tong district of the Volta region. Nukata na la fia.
Mava atikorope. Ale no jo sie do mi fon chobu mi ola mokatagba le mi eve. Eta o va bina na mi atika be mi akponse.
Ta emi va fiade leke eganya do o mi anam free lo alo leke nya dodoa.
Badakula tike na mi free. I'm like coming for her more.
So I was just asking her why she's here, and she's been saying that due to the stress they went through with the flood situation, most of them have issues with their health, and so they are here to actually get some medical attention. And I asked her earlier whether they are paying for these services, and to her she said no, these services are being provided free of charge here at one of the centers, PPAG center here in Mepe. And so ta odo pohwa
Badakui udongpo.
Ta
atikamaho.
Ta obanu kala fudem na via.
Badaku BP la fudanu. Afi nyala makatala nyeva.
Ta fi wana atika.
Wana matika.
Ke at the government hospital ha yi no ajofia.
Ho nyema yiyo.
Wo national health insurance ela shi wa lo abu.
Kula sinye. Ela sinye tanyeli.
Okay. Okay, so she's been telling us that she still has a national health insurance and she's just waiting for her medication because she's been diagnosed of high blood pressure. There are a few others here that we'll try to speak to understand what is really wrong with them. Madam, ta oha kayena vafia.
Enya fifira ikumava senya mava atikawa ho.
Okay. So she's not here for medical attention, but there are a few others that are here. Mama, miyak babo ha lagban le viare da shi nkejo.
Ameva tike ho. If you try bara no kwa tike no harako.
Ta no kai wo ba fu dem na ofia.
Baby. After your stroke, elem for don kameva.
Okay. So she says she's been also diagnosed of high blood pressure and she has been given some medication and she's just waiting in the queue to be served with that particular medication. Okay. So she's actually confirming that the service being delivered here by the Ghana Medical Association as well as the Ghana Registered Nurses Association is totally free of charge. So I have this lady here to also talk to us. Give us your name. Okay, so why are you also here?
BP.
So has it gone now because of the flood situation? What happened to your house? Tell us.
Oh, my house here na nakamade fule ninyo.
Okay, so that's the story of Vicencio. And as you can see, there are a number of people here who are actually receiving medical attention. I have this gentleman here to also share his story with us. And you appear to be happy. I mean, you don't have any medical situation. What's your name? Tell us why you're here.
My name is Adika Achu. I'm calling from Volta region. But because of the rain season, that's why we are here now. But we have so many diseases in the water, so we came here to test ourselves, to see doctor to explain something to us. That's why we are here.
Okay, so when you come, I mean, now that you're here, are you paying for these services?
No payment.
Have you
They say it's free.
Okay.
So it's general.
So I see you holding a piece of paper. What is it? What are they telling you?
But now, before I will go and see the doctor, then you explain the
medical challenge that you have. Yeah. Okay, so that's your name again?
My name is Adika.
Adika's issue there is part of those who are this particular center at PPAG receiving medical attention from the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, as well as the Ghana Medical Association. So you can see in your shot what the nurses are doing, what the doctors are doing currently, taking the records of victims of the flood of Mepe here in the Volta region. And they are making sure that everybody is taken care of in terms of health care services. And you see a nurse in there checking the pulse of a lady, just to be sure she's fine. And you see this young one here also on the scale, just to be sure that they are okay a bit. And so that's the situation we have here at PPAG center, where the officials have been talking and taking care of victims of the flood. And so I'll be engaging the lead for this particular center to tell us more about what they have been doing so far at the PPAG center here in the North Tongue district here. So tell us, give us your name first of all.
So my name is Dr. Stephen Mina Ala.
You are from which of the units?
So I'm with the Ghana Medical Association. Yes.
So what is going on here?
So we, as part of initiative from the Ghana Medical Association, the MP of the area, and then the regional directorate, we heard about the devastating situation here. So the GMA volunteered, and then members came together with the nurses and midwives, so that we would come and give support to the locals on the ground. Now our main aim here is to screen the patients, because looking at the flood, it comes with other medical diseases. So for example, the risk of malaria, cholera, and then skin infestations. So we are here to screen the people here to identify suspected cases of cholera, screen the people for suspected malaria, and then treat those that have proven malaria cases. And then if we are able to suspect a few cases of cholera, then we will declare whether we have an epidemic or anything, and then we'll be able to refer those that have severe diarrhea conditions to the hospital. So basically, this is what we are doing here.
So how many days have you been doing this so far?
So we were here, we came on Tuesday and started active work yesterday. So yesterday here, averagely we saw about 73 cases.
Well, my colleague Carlos Caloni is still within the community for us, joins me live now from one of the flooded areas within the South Tong area. Carlos, if you're with me, you just reported earlier about the health condition of many of the residents there who are now being screened by the team deployed by the Ghana Medical Association. What more are we learning of? Because earlier today, we saw that some other political parties have been doing donations as well as other benevolent organizations. What more can you report?
All right, Blessed, I can say for a fact that the situation remains same across the, the three Tong districts from the north, Tong district, central and south. The water levels are still high, especially in the Mepe area as well as the South Tong area. And so the situation is still as serious as we've been reporting. But as you know, the Ghana Medical Association as well as the Ghana Registered and Midwives Association, they have been doing some work in the Mepe area. And for those in the South Tong area, their concern is that they are yet to see any such medical reliefs. We visited one of the communities today, Gamenu, where you see flood victims, and for days they've not had any medical outreach team coming to them there. So that's their concern. They feel like everything is being sent to the Mepe area. And the member of parliament we've been speaking to actually is calling for equitable distribution of these relief items to ensure that flood victims in the South Tong area can also have some respite. So the situation has not improved. And so health situations like you saw in that video, the Ghana Medical Association, they're saying that they are looking at the situation. They've identified a number of health situations with regards to cholera, diarrhea, suspected malaria, but they want to put the figures together to actually determine if it's on a bigger scale, so then they can declare issues that will come with it. So that's the picture from the South Tong area. Blessed.
And you've been also interacting with some more residents and also the donations that we've been seeing in the early parts of the hours, where the national chairperson of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nkete, joining the minority leadership to make some donations today. What more are we learning?
All right, so that particular donation is from the presidential candidate of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama. And the party itself made a donation of about 1.5 million Ghana cedis. A number of people also made donations, including the Speaker of Parliament, who also donated about 100,000 Ghana cedis. And a church also donated about 50,000. As well as Zipline. Zipline also donated a number of bags of rice and all that. So the donations are pouring in, but those donations are actually targeted at some 11, constituencies in 2 regions, 10 in the Volta region, 1 in the Eastern region. So after the donation this morning, all these constituencies took their portions or their part of the donation and took it to their constituencies. And so that's it, but it's not much. They're calling for more. I mean, Blessed, if you visit these communities and you see the situation, people's homes have been destroyed, collapsed and all that. They need places to live, places to cook. And so the relief items are coming, but not in the ratio that can really help them out of this situation. They are still calling for more, especially those in the South Tong area. They say they have been neglected totally, and some communities don't even know if relief items are even going around. But then the Member of Parliament has been doing a lot going to this community. This afternoon he donated bags of gari, rice, portable water to these communities. And some of the people we've been speaking to have been raising concerns about public health issue. The fact that they don't have this portable water to depend on, and they've had to depend on this lake, polluted lake water. They are raising concern. Just as we reported from Sokwe, if you go down to the Agave area, they are also raising those concerns. And so it is time that, distribution of relief items are distributed in a way that we don't target one area, but we're able to distribute it to everyone. Otherwise, we may be solving the problem at one side, but we'll be faced with a bigger health situation elsewhere. Blessed.
And we'll be listening shortly to Johnson Asiru Nkicha as he made this address earlier today. But do we know what the next line of action is for the interministerial committee that's been set up to provide relief items and also draw up some programming for the people? Okay, we seem to have lost Carlos Caloni there, but the chairperson of the National Democratic Congress, Johnson Asiru Nkicha, has been addressing the press earlier today after the donations were made. Also there was the minority leader, Dr. Kesela Tuforsen. We can listen to excerpts of the address by the NDC chairperson, and then we'll give you some updates. We have Carlos back with us. And Carlos, we're just, at the point of asking about the interministerial committee working, on the provision of relief items and the meeting they've been holding today as well. Is there any update on what the next line of action will be?
All right, so we posed that question to the Volta Regional Minister yesterday, and he clearly indicated to us that they are yet to get any information from the interministerial committee that has been set up to look into this disaster. But then this morning, speaking at the donation ceremony here, many of the MPs are raising concerns over those issues, and they expect the interministerial committee to expedite action on, bringing some respite to flood victims in these 8 affected, communities. But then I have with me the Member of Parliament for South Tong. He's been heavy on relocation. He believes that relocating these flood victims to the Saglemi housing site is a thing the government and the interministerial committee should consider at this point in time, because many of the flood victims do not have places to sleep. And so how do you go give relief items to people like that? And so he is saying that it's likely to even petition the president to take an action to relocate these flood victims to the Saglemi housing. So you are pushing heavy. You were telling us earlier on that it's something you'll be doing, like presenting a petition to the president. How soon will you do this?
Well, we are in the process of putting a movement together for this. It's going to be very massive. I can tell you, people are signing on to this whole idea, so that we can get the president's attention to really get him to approve this process. Because that is the only possible, and a more quicker way to get people regain some strength and get them normalizing their lives again. What we have here currently at the moment, you've just said it. You cannot be a squatter in somebody's room where there's nothing. You've lost. Virtually, you've left your comfort zone. You virtually have nothing. You know what I'm talking about. How are you going to even assist your kids to school? But those normal routine work, mummies and daddies and parents and even kids would want to, all taken away. That beauty of freedom to do your thing. So we really have to do something quickly about this, because people have to go back in a way, get resettled, and then begin to think about themselves how to lives, and then probably go on to some other businesses or something, because they've lost also as well. Farms have been taken over by their flood water, and businesses taken. Because one of the fish farmers lost about 150 kgs And I mean, according to him, for the cost of the tilapia fish that, according to him, we're getting ready for sale, if he should quantify and put it together, put a figure to it, millions of cedis, all gone.
So what form of compensation are you calling for? I mean, is it, equitable? So if I have lost, say, 8 cedis, I should be given 8 cedis. Somebody who has lost, say, 10 million should be given 10 million. We want to understand what kind of, compensation package you are actually propagating.
I would rather wait for the full data to come out, because on daily basis the accounting and putting all this, and I just got today's information from NADMO, the coordination coordinator, and so we will have to look at all these data and look at the scale and the magnitude, the losses, and then we can be able to probably request what is somewhat able, is sufficing, looking also at our situation that we find ourselves in as a country. And so this is, you might not necessarily have to give them money, but sometimes you might have to give them maybe some input into what they are very good at. Maybe it's fish farming. Government might say, okay, I have cages, I want to give you cages to go back to business. I have several things. So there are ways probably to get this whole thing in place, but they must be quick, because people have to regain their strength. Okay. That is the key.
Thank you so much for speaking to us here on Joining. So that was the Member of Parliament for the South Tong District here in the Volta region, sharing his thoughts with relocation issues to the Saglemi housing area. And according to him, Blessed is going to be heavy on this. They have started collating signatures to that effect. He terms it as a movement to put pressure on the president to move flood victims from the affected areas to relocate them to the Saglemi housing site. Blessed.
Well, my colleague Carlos Caloni there, just speaking a while ago to the South Tong Member of Parliament, Koblamen Sawoyumet there, who's been giving us some perspectives on what he intends to do as Member of Parliament for the area. Well, in a related development, since the Wager Dam was built, the Ghana Water Company has been spilling water every now and then. This is to prevent excess water contained in it from exceeding its maximum limit. However, residents who live within the buffer zone of the spillage say they have nowhere to go despite numerous dangers they are faced with. There's more in the following report by Helen Nakai.
Residents living downstream of the Wager Dam continue to live in fear following the spillage of the dam. Over the years, residents have been moved out of their homes when the dam is spilled and only return after the floods recede. With time, residents have grown indifferent about the consequences of having to live within the buffer zone of the Wager spillage. A resident of Tetegu, a suburb of Wager community, says the only reason why they still live close to the stream is because they do not have money to relocate.
The flood has destroyed a lot of our belongings. I work at Pambros, and it affected my workplace as well. If it becomes unavoidable, I will find a place to relocate to, but I have no plans for now. Everything has to do with money.
Many residents say although the dam floods their rooms and destroys their properties, moving out is not an option now because they are cash strapped. Residents are calling on government to permanently relocate them.
There is nowhere to relocate to. When the flood water increases, it enters our homes. It destroys a lot of things. The government needs to come to our aid. We will relocate if government relocates us.
Stanley Mate is the public relations officer of the Ghana Water Company Limited. He explains the inevitable need for spillage to protect the integrity of the dam.
Architecture of every dam is such that it needs to have a spill gate. The objective and the wisdom behind the spill gate is that no matter the depth and size of the dam, it will definitely get full at a point. And when it gets full, the excess water will have to be spilled away. We need to operate at a certain level. The dam has a maximum operating level around 48 feet. Beyond 46 feet, 76.5 to 47 feet, we need to expel the excess water, because we can't wait for it to get to the maximum operating level. So what we do is that during the rainy season, or at the onset of the rainy season, we start spilling when we see a steady rise in the level. So let's say from 45 to 45.5 feet, we'll start with minimal spillage. Okay, and then when the rains begin, then we see the levels keep still rising. Then we'll also open another gate. So we'll start with 1 gate, 2 gates, 3 gates, 4 gates, and 5 gates, depending on the level. We inform them prior to every spillage. But then the thing is, when anything is to happen, when there's any unforeseen circumstances, okay, whether be it in the afternoon, evening, or at night, we won't wait to compromise on integrity of the dam. We will start spilling. So there are 2 ways. We go by our standard operating procedures, but if anything untoward is to happen, anything unexpected, anything unforeseen, we can't be waiting, okay, to go around and informing people before we start spilling. We'll start spilling immediately.
The Communications Director of NATMO, George Aisi, says measures are being put in place to permanently find long-lasting solutions to the flooding problems in the Wager community.
Once you don't have an alternative place for them, it's going to be difficult. You are telling them to live there, but they find another place on their own. And that is difficult, that is difficult. So we'll continue to engage and see how we can resolve it if they are there. What is the alternative way to get the water to move without causing havoc? People have also called for a permanent estuary because any time they go to open up the place, the estuary, and the water flows in, it doesn't inundate them. You get it? And so the water 2 days, 3 days is gone and they are safe. However, if the place is silted and the spillage is done, then, it gets into the communities and they begin to bear the brunt. And so they think if we can have a permanent estuary, and this is a capital intensive something. So what it means, I have my doubt if the assembly on its own can do that. So if Ghana Water comes in, and then government comes in through the Ministry of Works and Housing, then a permanent solution can be found to that, because almost every year there's spillage done because of the water levels at Wager.
While authorities contemplate when to permanently solve the problem, residents are worried about the next flood. Helen Nakai Ayi's report for Joy News.
And just as we prepare to wrap up, you equally need to prepare for an exhilarating experience at the main grand fair of the 2023 EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. Join us at the Accra International Conference Center, where from Thursday, November 23rd to Sunday, the 26th of November 2023, doors will open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day to welcome you. This year, we're actually diving into the theme of home ownership, also exploring the nuances between affordability, comfort and luxury. Whether you're embarking on your home ownership journey or just looking for an upgrade, this is the fair for you and all the things you need to know about housing, and encounter a comprehensive assembly of stakeholders from Ghana's housing and construction sectors. Engage with experts across the spectrum of home creation and enhancement, and that's why you also need to be there at the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. But that's all we have for you in this package of The Pulse. I'm Blessed Sogan. It's been a pleasure spending some time with you. We'll see you again next week, but it's bye for now. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.